are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and the net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break, break. As always, a double break signifies an emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Since we would like to check on the net, I ask to respond with their full call signs using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name, and if possible, their location as well. I will recognize each station before continuing. Stations who wish to participate on the net tonight, please come on now.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in North Roseville.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec. Good evening, Bob, and welcome. Next station.
Good evening, K3REH, Anders in Folsom.
K3REH, Anders, thank you. You are always welcome from a good signal from Folsom. Next station.
This is KP4AMD, Carol, Citrus Heights, also running the YouTube live stream.
KP4MD, Carol, welcome, and thanks for running YouTube. We're going to miss Wilson tonight. Anybody else? I was expecting Joel to show up. Maybe he will show up during the transmission. So we have a little bit of a shorter cast, as Wilson would call tonight. So let's see, N6BGQ, if you're ready, please go ahead with your transmission.
Okay, well, this is going to be BD 120 if the silly thing works, so we'll give it a try right now.
Well, Bob, let me see what we have here. We got a good copy. A lot of artifacts on the picture, maybe because of the dark background. I will. So I got a good copy. But before I describe anything, let's go see what Anders have to say. KE3REH, KL7H2.
So this looks like a picture that you would blow up in a massive format and have as a poster on your wall. It's got some kind of power to it with a very bright spot in the middle and a 360-degree kind of lens flare. I wonder if it looked like this in real or if this is an artifact from the camera that took the picture. There's some kind of power line or maybe antenna system that kind of gives the picture some scale, but looks like a really spaced out, really cool picture. Just like Neil said, I also have a lot of the radar specs or the little noise blips spread evenly across the whole picture, but they almost give a little more dimension to it, so it almost looks cooler that way. So nice copy, lots of specs, but maybe because of the otherwise very powerful picture. Yeah, looking forward to know how this came about. K3REH, back to net.
Well, Anders, thank you very much. You came up with a good description of that, and as you say, the specs seem to add to the picture in an interesting way. KP4MD, Carol, did you copy, and what are your comments?
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I think I recognize this antenna, if I'm not mistaken. This is part of the rigging of antennas that they have atop the VA Medical Center down there at Mather. And they have an extremely powerful transmitter there. So this is the corona discharge off the top of the antenna, and you see the circular shock wave spreading out from the corona. Back to you, it's KP4MD.
Wow, that's an interesting observation. I didn't even think from that perspective. I did copy it, that I do see the tower, and I do see what appear to be the transmission lines. And as Anders indicated, there's a 360 degrees, which my first idea could be something like a shock wave, but I didn't think about the corona discharge. So let's go back to Bob and see what he has to say about this interesting picture.
Okay, well, Carol's right about the location. That's the tower and slopers and inverted V's and all those kind of things that's on top of Building 650 at the Mather VA Hospital. And what you're seeing happened on the 14th of June in 2016. Don and I were up there making sure the antennas and cables and everything were correct, like we do every couple of weeks, and looked up, and what you see is what's called a sun halo. It happens with cirrus clouds at about 20,000 feet, and the ice crystals in the clouds refract and reflect and bend the light rays. And so the big blob in the middle is the sun, and I'm happy the sensor in my iPhone didn't die. And the thing around it is the sun halo. And I probably should work on this in Photoshop to get a little bit more contrast. But it was kind of interesting. I've never seen a sun halo before, and when I saw it, we ran back to the corner and grabbed my phone and took a picture so that the antenna system was inside the sun halo. So there it is, N6PGQ.
Scale 7HQR. Quite impressive picture, Bob, that you managed to take with your phone, huh? And for a moment, because of the darkness around and the artifacts, I thought there was a night picture with the moon. But very interesting. Any comments or any questions?
K3REH.
Go ahead, Anders.
So it actually looked similar to this with the naked eye. To look at, I guess you couldn't stare at the sun, obviously, but how did you actually see it? You can't really look up towards the sun, right?
Well, it looked almost exactly the same to the naked eye. You saw the outside ring part of it, just because we were looking up at the tower to make sure everything was connected, and there it was. So we backed away, and I looked at the phone instead of at the sun, and kind of got it centered, and there's the picture.
Very cool.
Quite impressed. Quite impressed. And like Andrew said, I think this is something that deserves to be a poster size.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I couldn't fool anybody with the story about the corona discharge. But yeah, I have seen sun halos before with the ice crystals up at high in the atmosphere. I think this is something similar to the phenomenon of sun dogs that you see at a fixed degree angle on either side of the sun when the sun is low in the sky. And you've got those ice crystals up there as well. That's it very eerily looks like some kind of pictures you'll see in science fiction where they're talking about something like some other phenomenon, like similar, to a nuclear blast in space or something like that. But it's very, very, very nice opportunity if you take that picture. It's KP4MD.
Scale 7 HQR. It's interesting because long time ago I sent out a picture of the green flash that I got aboard ship as the sun sets. There was something that I saw a couple of times, and I think all of us, when you fly, and depending on what side of the plane you are, if you see a shadow of the airplane on the ground or on the clouds, and it's called the glory, and you see that little circle, which is a small rainbow circular around the airplane, and if you're in the front seat, it will be centered around the front windows. If you're in the back seat, it will be centered wherever you are. So those are little observations that I've seen, but this one is a new one for me. Good. Thank you, Bob, for sharing. Okay, Anders, KE3REH. Your turn now, sir. Please go ahead.
All right, so this will be PD 120.
Well, K3REH from KL7HQR Net Control for tonight. Got a good copy on the picture? Very interesting. I have a couple questions on it, but let's see what Carol may say about it. KB4MD, please go ahead, Carol.
Okay, I figure you'd throw this question to me. I'm going to guess that this is Anders himself operating a number of years ago. This is, I see some vintage military type equipment. Looks like it's rack mounted there directly in front of him. Over to the right of him, he's turning the dials on a some radio there. I'm not even sure what that is. One is, it could be a transceiver, or maybe one half of a transmitter receiver combo. But nice gooseneck microphone in front of him on the desk there, and a little swivel lamp above. That's looks like a really nice vintage photo from operating back a number of decades ago, and very clear. A few little pixel pops that you could see on the red sweater. The repeater ID sliced halfway through the lettering in the bottom there. You could just see a little fuzziness halfway down the letters. N6NA SSTV Net DEK3REH. So back to you, Niels, KP4MD.
Roger, Carol. Yeah, I agree. Looking at, I finally got YouTube going in here. And first of all, before I go any further, I want to say good evening there to our friends N6PRT. Alf is there with us, and well, was also there. I scrolled up the screen and I missed, but we have two friends that join us all the time, and Bruce. I think Bruce is there. I don't have his call letters, but they are joining us on YouTube. Appreciate you guys being there. Got the picture, and I'll hold my comments until after we hear from Bob. N6PGQ, please go ahead.
Well, I agree with Carol. The gear in the back looks like vintage military gear, and there's a meter right above the forehead of the person that's operating. Looks like a transceiver with a black face and maybe an antenna tuner above it, and maybe a SWR meter off to the left above the tuner. It almost looks like there is a key below his hand, but I can't tell. So I would guess from this that it's probably an early 70s picture, but that's my guess. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob, for that. Again, a little bit detailed description as you went through it. I can see basically what you see. But what I copy is a gentleman with a haircut that looks more or less back in the 60s or 70s, and a red shredder, and I see what appears to be a 19-inch rack on the left-hand side. It could be a transmitter and an amplifier. On the right-hand side, he's tuning a knob. I don't know. It's very dark. It could be a Collins. It could be a heat kit. I leave that open. The only thing that confuses me a little bit, in between the two of them, there was what appeared to be a screen. You know, it has the yellow and the blue and the red information there, which would be out of character for that time frame. So it may not be, maybe just a display of some kind or a copy of a paper. But good copy. I take kind of umbrage on saying, you guys saying this is vintage. For me, that was yesterday. I remember that was way after I started ham radio, and this was a great rig. So maybe I am vintage. So back to you, Anders. KE3REH, KL7HQR.
I think you circled the details in the picture pretty well. The yellow and blue in the back, I think, are QSL cards. But this is actually a screen grab from a old TV show that I used to watch as a kid back in the mid-70s. This TV show ran between 1972 and 82. And it's a comedy show called Flexness. That's the last name of the guy in the picture there. His real name was Rolf Wesenlund, but it was one of those rare shows where ham radio was actually part of the plot, part of the story. So he was living with his mom. So this is his basement where he has his ham gear set up, and he had a call sign that he kept repeating in the show, and I learned it very early. It was one of my first times knowing anything about ham radio. So his call sign was LA8PV, or Lima Alpha 8 Papa Victor. And that is a very well-known call sign if you watch this show, obviously, or grew up in the Nordics. This is a Norwegian show, not a Swedish show. Short break. And the funny story with this is that when they created the show, they were realizing that maybe the call sign, because they were using it in the show all the time, they should maybe block the call sign. So the Norwegian PTT, or the Norwegian FCC, basically blocked the producers. They asked the Norwegian FCC to block the call sign. But the funny story is that they blocked the wrong call sign. So they blocked LA8PW, whiskey at the end instead of Victor. And a guy actually managed to snag the LA8PV call sign. So he had that, a guy called Knut Kolstad, managed to have that registered as his call sign for many, many years until he finally had to let it go. And you can actually find him on QRZ as LA2WRA, and he would probably have more stories to tell about this. I think he is still around. So that is the little story behind this picture. I don't know what the equipment is in the back. I'm sure that is something that you can find in the archives online, but funny show, and one of my first exposures to ham radio. K3REH, back to net.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. Before I say anything, any comments? Okay, I have a question. What was the name of the show again? I'm going to have to Google this.
The name of the show is Flexness, so that's F-L-E-K-S-N-E-S. So Flexness, and it's in Norwegian, so I don't know if there is a subtitled or translated version of it, but I'm sure, I know that there are at least partial episodes still available on YouTube. So again, it's Foxtrot, Lima, Echo, Kilo, Sierra, November, Echo, Sierra, Flexness. So that is the name of the show.
Well, thank you, Anders. I just wrote it down. And of course, since I speak fluent Norwegian, I will look into it. I used to work for a Norwegian company called Det Norsk Veritas for 20 years. Never learned a single word of it. Anyway, thank you, sir. That was a fascinating picture and very good description. Anybody else with any questions before we move on? Okay, KP4MD, it's your turn, Carol, if you're ready.
Okay, this will go also PD 120.
Well, good copy, Carol. Good copy. Very few artifacts. Before I go into details, let's go and see what Mr. Bob has to say. N6PGQ, please go ahead.
Well, I don't know what it's with my my receiver and Carol's transmitter, but I have my diagonal line from the left top down about an inch or so into the picture of a non-synced picture, kind of different multicolors, but there aren't very many artifacts, and it looks to me like that was taken at the last ham swap in Lincoln. I don't recognize the person on the left because my brain isn't working, but Carol's in the middle and Phil's on the right, and Carol's behind a table and the two gentlemen are in front of it, and it has a blue AWRL logo behind it, so I figured that's the AWRL booth at the swap, N6PGQ.
N6PGQ, KL7HQR. Yep, that's a good description. It's basically what I see here. K3REH, please go ahead.
So I didn't have the chance to go to that swap meet, so I can't tell that this was the way it actually looked, but I would guess the same thing. It looks like a fairly recent picture, and clearly an informational booth with a RL in the background there. No radios. I guess that's not part of the setup, but at least not as far as I can see. I don't see any radios there. But yeah, looks like a sunny, happy day, and three happy individuals in the photo. So yeah. And now this time I actually know why my call sign is on the picture. So I learned something last time. Very good. Thank you so much. K3REH, back to net.
Roger. Yeah, I KL7HQR. Yeah, I don't know when the picture was taken. I don't know if it was this particular year, but I agree. It's the ARRL booth with Carol and Phil and the unknown gentleman on the left-hand side. Gentleman with glasses and a beard. That normally those two things are not good indication. But anyway, there is what appears to be a mast with an antenna on the left-hand side. And I know that Carol normally has her what is the K3 that she carries with her, but I don't see it there. But good copy, Lieutenant, and Carol, nice and sharp on her reddish pink outfit. Phil is always carrying his shoulder pack. So, Carol, please go ahead and let us know the details that we missed.
Okay, very good. This is KP4MD. By the way, we have a new person who's checked in on YouTube chat, and that's Arthur Sensoff, and he says it's amazing to listen to you guys. I recently discovered ham radio world, studying for exam now and hoping to get his license soon. So yes, Arthur, very welcome to participate this way, and we welcome your comments there in the chat as well. Yes, absolutely right. This was the swap meet that was up at McBean Park in Lincoln, and that was last month. It actually was the 18th of September, I remember very well, in the morning. And yes, you got Phil Sittner there on the right. That's KD6RM. And to the left of me there, that's Al Canton, K6AAI, was also a member of our club. And I was working the ARRL booth that day. Also, the person actually who took that picture is Jojo, KN6HTD, and he had his ICOM radio set up with the little portable, the lithium-ion battery. In that you could see it on sitting on the table there on the left end of the table, and he had his tripod with a vertical antenna. That's what you're seeing there in the foreground. But of course, he's holding the camera, so you don't see him in the picture. So This Saturday, I'll be going up to Reading for the Ham Fest up there at Bentronics, and I already have my all my materials packed for the ARRL booth, and I'm looking forward to that adventure up there. This is the first time we're going to be making it to the Reading Ham Fest. So back to net control. This is KP4MD. Over.
KP4MD and the group KL7HQR is net control for tonight. Thanks, Carol. Yeah, I was there. We were there on the 18th, and sorry you couldn't make it, Anders, but it was really enjoyable. And from what I heard, it was one of the largest turnout that they've had for that swap meet. And of course, it was the first time we had a chance to get together in person for quite a while. So there was a lot of happy smiles all over the place. Before I go any further, let me recognize what Carol just mentioned. I see there on YouTube that Arthur is working on his license, and Alf is saying that he just got his license recently. So we have two relatively newcomers, and wishing Arthur all the best. And Arthur, if you can hear us, if you have a chance, let us know where are you located, and if you are near us here in Sacramento, or where you are located. Just on the internet, we have no idea. You could be anywhere. So welcome to the hobby. Welcome to the SSTV Net, and we hope that you take the time to come and join us every so often, whenever you can. You're very welcome. Any further questions or comments for Carol on that picture?
AI6DG.
Okay, AI6DG, Joel, welcome in. And by the way, Arthur just said he's in Roseville. Well, you're just around the corner, so one of these days we hope to meet you in person. AI6DG, Joel, welcome. Would you care to join us and send a picture?
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. I just had a configuration issues. I didn't start setting up my end until after you guys had already started, so I've been here listening and not able to contribute until now, but I do have a picture ready, so if you'd like me to send it.
Yes, please go ahead.
Was there tone?
Good tone, no problem.
PD 120.
A6DG, KL7HQR, and the group. Good copy on the picture. Very interesting. Bright light, windows, details to follow. Let's go to N6DGQ for his comments.
Oh, thanks a lot. My guesser is not doing real well. Well, it looks like the picture's taken in a hotel room or something to that effect. There's a chair on the left side and a lamp about a third of the way in. Nice set of curtains, and we're looking out the window at something. So here comes my guess. I really can't tell. It doesn't look like we're looking like at the Eiffel Tower or anything phenomenal like that. Looks like it might be, I don't know, some kind of a amusement park ride, or with my eyes looking at it, it could be a whole bunch of microwave dishes. But anyway, there's a table in the front bottom with a, few paper products on it. I don't know whether they're phone books or directories or something like that. And anyway, that's what I see in 6PGQ.
That was a good guess, a good description there, Bob. No problem at all. Anders, K3REH, what about you?
So, having heard that there are some places where Joel likes to go, and the skyline in the back there kind of indicates very tall buildings, different colors, one after another in a row, and then some kind of amusement park thing in the front, like you said, Bob. This kind of adds up to Las Vegas. So that is my guess. K3REH, back to net.
Okay, that sounds like a good guess. KP4MD, Carol, how about you?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I'm guessing that that's some kind of looks almost like a Ferris wheel looking on edge there with the lights along the rim of the Ferris wheel. The other thing it might be, being that Joe likes to operate portable, perhaps it's an antenna he's got stuck outside the window of that hotel room. I wouldn't put it beyond him. So back to you, Neil, KP4MD.
Roger. Yeah, first I thought there was something on the screen, and then as Bob was talking about it, I can see what appears to be a slant angle on a Ferris wheel, and immediately I thought of Las Vegas as well, because he's shown us some good pictures from Vegas. The only thing is that the skies don't seem to be Las Vegas like, clouds and overcast, but it does rain in Vegas once in a while. So I think my guess would be also Las Vegas. I have a good picture, bright orange, yellow-orange curtains on the left-hand side, the darkened version on the shadow on the right-hand side, red sofa, like Bob said, a little table with some books, and very few artifacts. So my guess would be Las Vegas. Let's go back to Joel. Where did we go wrong?
One or the other of you pretty much got it right. So yes, it's Vegas, and I go every year to the DEF CON convention, and for 5 years now I've been working as one of the volunteers that actually, so I work the convention. I'm one of the workers there. That means I get a hotel room as part of that compensation package. And I've never really figured out whether I get good rooms or bad rooms, because it varies from year to year. And this particular year, I thought I got a pretty good room. I mean, look at the view. It was a medium-high floor. I was looking straight across, not at the Strip, but across one of the side streets this is the world's largest Ferris wheel, not a roller coaster, Ferris wheel. This is the high roller. I don't know, 500 and something feet tall. Each one of those cars can hold 30 people. Some of them, I think, actually even have bars in them, a little bar where you can buy drinks while you're taking in the view. And it is an amazing view. And this is actually the time of day to to go on this. I think it's about a half an hour ride from when you get on it to when you get off of it. So right before sunset, so you can get a bit of the day view and a bit of the night view is, I think, probably the best time. You've got great views of the Strip, looking across over at Bellagio and the water fountain show. In Vegas, yes, clouds. This is in the early part of August, and that's actually their monsoon season. So they get, there's a high chance of rain and storms in around that time of year. And in fact, they've had one year where it was flooded and the streets were all covered in mud, and a couple of years when they had a storm come through and close things and doors slam and break glass and things like that. So there's been a couple of years of excitement from the weather and storms. The best year was 2 years after this in terms of the room, where I got a room. Admittedly, it was all the way at the end of the hallway, but I was looking diagonal down the driveway into Paris and could see a good portion of the Bellagio water fountain show and of some of the other hotels on the Strip, like Cosmo in Paris. I definitely enjoyed that room. And I thought I seem to remember I did something special to get this picture to be just so, because it's nicely exposed, both out the window and the light inside. Don't remember if I had to do a flash or what. Back to net, AI6DG.
Well, Joe, as always, a very intriguing picture, because I was thinking about exactly the same thing, that with a bright light on the inside, you would have a darkened background on the outside, so obviously you had some kind of work on the picture to get it that clear from both sides. Before I go any further, anybody has any questions? Okay, on Craig on YouTube had mentioned about the London Eye, or the one in Niagara Falls in Canada. I've been to the London Eye, and I have been to the big Ferris wheel in Singapore. That's right where on the Marina Center there, where the Formula One race takes place. And I was under the impression that the London Eye was the largest in the world. Apparently, I am behind times. One question for you, Joel. What is the hotel where you are?
This is Bally's. It was originally the MGM, but shortly after the fire, they had a bad fire there at one point, and shortly after that, MGM built what's currently the MGM about a block away, and this eventually turned into Bally's.
Okay, because I'm familiar with the MGM, which is across the street from New York and Excalibur there. Okay. It's been a long time since I've been to Vegas. In the last 10 years, I've changed planes in Vegas, I think about at least twice a month, flying back and forth, but I never left the airport, so I'm way behind the scenes. Anyway, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anybody has any questions before I send one picture? Okay, so let me see if I remember how to do this, and the picture that I'm going to try to send is also PD120. Not the quality of everybody else, but we'll give it a try. Well, anybody has had any copy? Try that again. Let me be a little bit better instead of general questions. Let's go to Joel, AI6DG.
So I see an assortment of, I guess it's 3 probably QSL cards. Lower left KC4 USB, Antarctic. Upper left UZ2FWA, Kaliningrad, UZ2FWA. Then to the right, UW0JF. Looks like it's commemorating something, Russian Revolution maybe? 1917, 1967. And, okay, yeah, it's the outline of Russia. Two Russian QSL cards and an Antarctic Antarctic card. So what the significance is of them, I am not sure, but we'll find out. Back to Net, AI6DG.
Roger. Good copy, good description. N6PGQ.
Well, everybody already's kind of described it, but obviously this is out of the KL7HQR collection, because there's your call sign in the upper left-hand QSL card. And I can't even remember, my brain's faded, but I think these are one of the cards that you'd have to send your QSL card to a post office box in Moscow, because the hams weren't getting mail from the United States at their homes. I'd be interested to know about the Navy supports scientific research in Antarctica. We've got what looks like maybe a seaplane and a Navy ship and a little, I don't know, what is that beside the bird there? It says QTH. There it says. Shows the location of the station. So anyway, that's all I got. N6PGQ.
Pretty good. I'm glad that you could even read the KTH there. K3REH, your turn, sir.
So 3 QSL cards, clearly from very different places in the world. I guess the outlier here is the one bottom left from Antarctica that has a U.S. call sign, right? KC4 must be a U.S. person that apparently is stationed in the QTH, the little dots right next to the penguin's head there. In Antarctica. Kaliningrad is close to my old neighborhood, obviously, so I know where that is. And then the other one looks like is up in the Northern Sea there somewhere, or Nordic Ocean somewhere. But I don't see the mark for where the UW0JF really has his QTH there. But that's all of Russia with looks like a station that beams out from way up in the Nordic Ocean. But yeah, very cool, from January 1988, so you were active way back. Very cool. K3REH, back to Net.
Roger. Thank you, Anders. That was very detailed. You noticed a few details there. KP4MD, your turn.
Okay, very good. This is KP4MD, and yes, I love these old QSL cards. I have a shoebox filled with some QSL cards that I got back in these years. KC4 used to be the exclusive prefix for U.S. stations stationed in the Antarctica. But since that time, there's only a few of those call signs that are reserved for Antarctica. KC4U USA, USB, USN, I believe. And a lot of the other KC4s are now just assigned to regular radio amateurs in the 4th call district. The Kaliningrad is an exclave of Russia. It's a very curious place. It's outside of the normal boundaries of Russia, and it's wedged. It's a little exclave that's on the Baltic Sea. It's wedged between Poland and Lithuania, and it's a very important port for the Russian Navy there in the Baltic Sea, and they have a lot of, I'm sure, monitoring posts over there for, I guess it's an advanced place for them to monitor for incoming missiles and things like that coming from NATO nations. So it used to be part of Prussia. I remember that from history. The capital of Kaliningrad, that city actually used to be called Königsberg when it was part of East Prussia, which was part of the German Empire prior to World War I. The UW0JF, yes, it looks like one of those Soviet QSL cards, and they were all pretty standard. You had to send them through P.O. Box 88, Moscow. Very good. Thanks for sharing these. A little bit of nostalgia. Back to Net Control. This is KP4MD.
Roger, Carol. I just learned a few things from you. Thank you so much. And as Carol mentioned, these are QSL cards. The actual physical QSL cards were the only way that we had to confirm QSOs in the past. That's before any internet or anything. And I have been a ham in the United States since 1971. And I have several cards. My first call was WB6 Zulu Quebec, India, and then I got the KL7 when I went to the Alaska with the Air Force in '72, and I kept it ever since. And my son managed to get my shoe boxes full of carry cards a few years ago, and he took the time to segregate them into different books. One for Asia, one for America, one for Africa, one for Europe, and etc., and put them all in alphabetical order. So after he did all that, I asked to have the QSO cards back, at least temporarily. And I was going through them, and I decided to take I didn't know what to put in the pictures today, so I decided to get a couple of these because they do say USSR, which is something that no longer exists. The UZ2 FWA, as it was mentioned, was back in 1988, just 2KL7HQR/5, which is when I was in Houston. The UW0 Juliet Foxtrot on the back, it says it was a CW contact in from the city of Blagov, Blagov, and it was on the 20th of February in 1972, and it was 5 years later, but it was still commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Soviet Revolution. And as Kara indicated, the KC4 was strictly for Antarctica, and before internet or anything else, the telephones, we were the only way, we and Mars station were the only way they could contact family and etc. during their stay there in Antarctica. And I did literally hundreds of phone patches for several of the stations. This one here being Bird, the other one was Ala, the other one is Amundsen, right on the South Pole. And that's the way we had fun. It made some good friendship with those guys down there, and they depended on us, and we just had lots of fun doing the QSO with them. So I will catch some more of my old QSL cards, and once in a while I'll bring them up. KL7HQI, any comments or questions?
AI6DG.
Please go ahead, Joe.
Have you or are you planning to enter into any of the online logs that you have, like Logbook of the World or EQSL or whatever you use? I imagine it'll be a bit of a surprise sometimes when you do that and find out who else has done it also, and you get confirmations.
Yes, as a matter of fact, with the help of Jim, AF6PK, I started doing that, and with Bob as well, PGQ. But I am only doing that right now for the QSOs that I'm doing. As far as the Ewrl Awards, I never applied for any of them. But I understand that I can combine my WB6EQI and also my KL7HQR. Carol probably can clarify that later. But there are limitations on the area of, I believe, the mileage where you are. Of course, KL7HQR in Alaska has to be counted separately. And so, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. It would be very interesting to see what maybe some of those guys are still alive, and we can get in touch. Beck?
I think any contacts made with where the QTH is within 50 miles can be considered one location. But beyond that, you have to register, at least with Logbook of the World. I don't know about the other sites. Logbook of the World, 50 miles to each other, and beyond that, you can register another QTH and then start all over again. AI60G, back to net.
Roger. I don't know if Carol is around to talk about that. It's already 10 o'clock. Maybe I will touch base with Carol and get some more details on how to do that. But yes, the idea is there. Anybody else? It is coming up to 10 o'clock. Anybody else has any pictures that you would like to send tonight before we close the night? Well, hearing nobody, and I can see that some of the gentlemen on YouTube are saying good night. Arthur, again, welcome to the group, and we'll look forward to seeing you a little bit more. And I see that you're looking for some information on rigs. You can talk to 100 hams, and you have 100 different suggestions on what kind of rigs you can get. You mentioned 7300s. That's what I have. But there are many other rigs that hopefully you can buy and get really going on UHF and VHF. So in the meanwhile, welcome to come in and join us every Wednesday. And Alf and Craig, please keep on joining us. I appreciate everybody who participated tonight, Bob and Anders and Carol and Joel. And look forward to being in contact with you guys again next Wednesday. This is KL7HQR. Now, Neil, closing the net for tonight and saying 73. Thanks again, guys. Really, it was a lot of fun.
KL7HQR N6PGQ.
N6PGQ. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Neil, I was thinking of just coming by your house and picking you up. It's easier than trying to find each other someplace, and then you don't have to worry about your car in a parking lot without it being